Yeah, so the invasion of Europe was delayed until the powers that be, notable Eisenhower, the American general in charge of all the forces, was convinced that he had enough men and materials to land on the shores of France, and the equation was, could you put more men and material ashore than the Germans could supply them by land and by air, and so that he wouldn't allow the invasion to take place until June 1944. By that time the Russians were virtually on their knees. We'd been supplying them by convoy through the Arctic convoys up the coast of Norway and round into Murmansk, where we were allowed to hole up. The convoy took anywhere between a fortnight and 3 weeks, depending upon the slowest ship, and that was reckoned to be one of the worst journeys in the world, because you were kept constantly on the alert because of attacks by aircraft and also submarines. The point of that was, with the very heavy seas, that it meant that you were constantly shifting your position because of the rolling action. It meant that you were doing the equivalent of a jog, and after 24 hours of that you were tired, very tired. Sleep was impossible, because the principle was, if you weren't being attacked by aircraft, you were being attacked by a submarine. It wasn't necessary to actually be involved in fighting, just the threat was sufficient to keep you closed up, which was the expression that meant you stood to your station, and you could be like that for 24 hours. And in the end, sleep overcame you regardless, and it was known for men to fall down virtually asleep. No sleep was allowed below decks, in as much as that the hammocks were not to be slung. You just laid in your exposure suit, which is a waterproof suit, and a liner suit of padding, and long johns and that underneath to keep you warm. But because your life belt was on there constantly, ready to be inflated, and it was sleep wherever you could, on the deck, and during to the pitching, it meant the skin on the back of your neck was stretched and slackened and stretched and slackened. So you can imagine that by the time you got to Russia, you were well and truly done in. A lot of life was lost on these, and it was political because, as I say, in order to delay the invasion until they were ready, they offered to supply them arms and